Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Thursday. That means another installment of Taking It Back here on 412 Productions, syndicated by our good friends on Badlands Media. And I'm with my good friend Zach Payne of Red Pill 78. Zach, it's just me and you today. Frankie is dealing with a nasty cold, so we have to hold it down in his honor today.
Hold down the fort for Frank. Got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so all you prayer warriors out there, if you could put a little something out there for Frankie Val. I got a voice message from him earlier. He sounded pretty rough still, so hopefully he recovers quickly and we'll get him back into the fold next week. But yeah, Zach, just you and me, and man, you almost had a show-stopping disaster right as we were about to go live too.
Yeah. So, like, literally, as soon as I sit down, Lisa hands me a cup of coffee, and I thought that I had enough room on the edge of my desk to set it down. And, like, the desk is beveled. So, I didn't have enough room. It slid right off, right into my lap, all over my keyboard. But we did it. We did it.
That was a quick recovery. That was like no joke, like 3 minutes before we are about to go live. It was a hell of a cleanup effort, man. So way to go on that.
I'm used to working under pressure, I guess.
I guess so. It's been a big week, man. Leading up to this show today, we had a 9-0 decision in the Supreme Court, restoring Donald Trump. Not really restoring him to the ballot because he never was actually taken off.
Yeah.
I guess let's start there with that, and then we'll get into some Super Tuesday stuff. But a 9-0 decision. The left is freaking out. They're going after the Supreme Court. They want to stack it or just abolish it altogether. But unanimous decision. Even the liberals on the Supreme Court knew this was absolute nonsense. So it was a big first major victory for Donald Trump in this lawfare effort to disqualify him from the 2024 election. Your thoughts on how that all went down?
I mean, I thought it was pretty exciting, to be certain. I was pleasantly surprised to see a unanimous jury decision. It was obvious from the dissenting, agreeing opinion that the three liberal justices wrote that they were directing the Congress to continue the fight. You know, it's like, we can't do it, but you guys can. And a little bit more direct than I think the decision that was written in full. But I yeah, I did not expect it. I thought that at least one of them would, vote in against it and try to make a case for why Donald Trump should be removed. The decision that was, the other opinion that was written by Amy Coney Barrett about the need for peace, basically. I mean, we got to be unanimous on this, and we can't be disenfranchising all these people. I thought the whole thing was remarkably level-headed. It was good to see.
Yeah, I thought so too. And I thought the 9-0 was really, really awesome. To have it completely unanimous like that. It really gives the left and the media nowhere to spin it when you have all three. Even Sotomayor, who you would expect to be that one stick in the mud, sided with the conservatives on this. So that was good to see. Now you had Jamie Raskin come out and say that he's going to introduce legislation to basically disqualify anyone participating in an insurrection, or the president specifically, I guess, because that was the big part of Amendment 14, Section 3. But here's what I don't understand, Zach. Donald Trump was never tried, charged, or convicted for participating in an insurrection.
Yeah.
So even if the House, Senate, and Joe Biden signed Raskin's bill into law, like I still don't see how that would apply to Donald Trump. Like they're missing this huge piece of due process where he's actually convicted by a jury of his peers or a military tribunal or some official venue of an insurrection before they disqualify him for participating in insurrection. Am I missing something here? Like I feel like all of this is just theater because they don't have the key piece of it to actually get any of it done, regardless of what they change or do or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing. It is simply just another form of kabuki theater. Jamie Raskin knows he doesn't have the votes to pass something like that. But most importantly, that official, very, very vital act of due process simply doesn't exist. I mean, if it was based upon a conviction and not simply the word of, the opposition, pointing fingers and saying, you did this, then it might hold some weight. But even with that, I don't think that this is going to go anywhere. This is essentially going to be a banner that they fly. They'll continue to say that Donald Trump engaged in an insurrection, that his followers are, evil, they're violent, they're racist, they're just the worst dregs of humanity. And as such, Donald Trump shouldn't be allowed anywhere near the White House. But as they continue on with this sort of propaganda that they've been spewing for years now, the rest of the country is paying attention. I mean, Joe Biden is at his lowest point. I think he's lower than any other president besides Jimmy Carter at this point. And I believe by the end of Joe Biden's term in office, he will be the most unpopular president in the history of this country. And as such, so many people all across this nation have rallied around Donald Trump. Raskin says. I mean, Jamie Raskin is like a decoder ring for what to do in the exact opposite of whatever he thinks should be happening. Drink your Ovaltine and vote for Donald Trump. That's what I'm getting from Jamie Raskin. But all they're going to do is just continue to chirp, piping up from the peanut gallery. And Donald Trump is going to gain the popularity of the people of this country who don't already support him. And by the time November rolls around, this country is going to be an even bigger shit show than it is right now. It's bad. It's getting worse every single day. And people know that if they want to bring back some form of normalcy and also if they want to thrive, then it's going to require some strong, decisive leadership. And that ain't Joe Biden, but it is Donald Trump.
Yeah. And at what point, Zach, are these people liable for what they're saying? I think of like defamation lawsuits, slander, things like that. Even these judges who, like on the Colorado Supreme Court, who said, Donald Trump is guilty of insurrection. That's a flat out lie. Like going back to what I just said, that's a legal term. Like there's a statute on insurrection. For them to say that about him in like an official court ruling, I feel like there needs to be repercussions for that. It's just a flat out not true thing, defaming his character in the middle of a campaign. When all this is said and done, I mean, could Donald Trump like sue the entire universe? Because it's absolutely absurd. I mean, I know he's a public figure. It's harder to win a defamation case as a public figure, but this is pretty cut and dry stuff.
It is, and if he wasn't a public figure, then I think that he could probably go ahead and do it. I mean, not the members of Congress that have said it. I mean, they're completely shielded. Talk about immunity. I mean, they can commit any crimes they want, and nothing will happen to them. Largely, especially something like defamation. They can basically say and do whatever they want. Now, if you're somebody like Bob Menendez. You rubbed up against the wrong corrupt person in Washington, D.C., and now you find yourself on the bad side of a DOJ investigation. He's an isolated case, though. They've actually tried with Bob Menendez a couple of times before, and it didn't work. And now I think they're going to finally get something that sticks. But, Jamie Raskin, Adam Schiff, Eric Swalwell, all of those yahoos, they're just going to go ahead and say whatever they want and nothing's going to happen. I'm not so certain about the judges in Colorado. I mean, because I mean, technically what they wrote in that decision is considered an opinion. And everybody's allowed to have an opinion. It's just a lot different when it's the opinion of a judge that might carry some sort of legal repercussions. But I think that you do make a compelling argument with the fact that, there is no due process that's involved here. I mean, there's no crime that he's been charged with. There is no conviction that was maintained. There was no admission of guilt on his behalf. It's all just a bunch of feelings from people who are desperate to make sure that Donald Trump doesn't return to Washington, D.C. Now, I'm really excited to see what happens with the immunity question when it comes to the Supreme Court, because I mean, they're going to be taking that up on April 25th, and allegedly they're going to be delivering a decision on that before the end of the summer, perhaps in June. But I think that they're going to have to go with several hundred years of precedent that has already been well established here in America, because I mean, like the impeachment of the president, that's always been what was reserved for high crimes and misdemeanors. The president breaks the law in some egregious sense. That's what can be used. And even though he was impeached twice, he was never convicted either time. So, there is no insurrection. And when it comes to the actions that he took in leaving the office of the presidency, I mean, if the same standard was held to anybody else, like Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Mike Pence, probably Bill Clinton and Al Gore, George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, all of them would find themselves sitting in a courtroom with indictments against them as well. So I just think that it's fantasy that these people are continuing to do this. And the Supreme Court, I guess, is going to end up being the arbiter of what stands and what doesn't.
I look at it two ways with the immunity thing. They grant him immunity and it blows up basically everything against him, going against him. Or they say he's not, and then that opens the door for prosecution of former presidents for the stuff they like the ones you've mentioned. Yeah. Going forward. So is there a nuance there that needs to be kind of worked out? Because I think the words official actions, immune from prosecution, when performing official actions of the office. So is there some nuance to this? Because they have this word absolute immunity, which doesn't sit right with me. I do agree that a president needs to be able to do his job with immunity, but there should be there are some things that aren't part of doing your job as president. You know what I mean? That you could, so where does that lay? I feel like there's something missing here in this conversation that we hear back and forth between both sides.
I would say that, if you are doing the duties that are necessary to protect and defend America and to further her interests, then immunity should be a consideration for something like that. But when it comes to spying on your political opponents, sicking the Justice Department and the Federal Bureau of Investigation or the CIA, or using foreign intelligence agencies to try to set up your opponent so that you can stop them before they even get there, or thwart them once they arrive, I think that should certainly not be something that presidents receive immunity for. I also think, probably political assassinations should not be something that somebody can be held immune for. However, I doubt that they're ever going to approach that particular issue. I mean, they'll make some nebulous argument about national security. What was the national security reason that Seth Rich was murdered? And, we still don't even know who exactly necessarily was involved. But I believe that there is an official component. There has to be. But I don't know. The DNC isn't an official branch of the United States government, but Hillary Clinton was running for president at the time. So I don't know. I really don't know that they're going to be able to come up with that fine line specifically, because that argument of national security has always held up pretty well. I mean, if they say that, hey, there's a lot we can't tell you because we got to keep you guys safe and we got to make sure that the country doesn't collapse. Trust us, it will, if we tell you why we had to kill these people, or if we admit to the fact that we spied on President Trump's campaign. I think that short of President Trump returning to the White House, all those kinds of things that we just went over, I don't think it's possible for them to even be addressed. When President Trump is sworn in again, he would then have the power and the authority to direct those agencies to charge the people who came after him illegally. And I think that is something that they could be convicted for, as long as you hold the trial outside of Washington, D.C. Let's hold it in, I don't know, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, or something like that.
Hell, just somewhere that's, within 2 or 3 points voting, between the two presidents. You know what I mean? Like that's I think would somewhere you could say is relatively neutral, by a few points in either direction. So, I mean, as we sit here today, Zach, and we look at the America First movement, or if you want to, take it down the conspiracy path, like the plan, so to speak. What kind of ruling on the immunity case do you feel puts a new Donald Trump administration in a better place to get to actually drain the swamp? We talk about holding past presidents accountable, and really kind of exposing these crimes and getting justice. And would you rather see the Donald Trump be given immunity and then have to refight that battle again, like with a Barack Obama or a George Bush, a Dick Cheney, Joe Biden? Or would it be a blessing in disguise almost if the Supreme Court came out and said there is no immunity, and then Donald Trump wins, and all of a sudden they have nothing to fall back on? If the Justice Department does decide to indict, how would you like to see this play out? Because I don't know necessarily which one's better as far as the long term, what we're hoping to see happen here.
Yeah, I mean, certainly I have fantasized about the possibility of them finding that he doesn't have ultimate immunity, and then actually, having a trial begin, and then maybe he beats it or he gets elected, and then, the trial, there's no reason to hold it anymore. Because again, that would open up all those other people to criminal prosecution. And if that was to happen, then they would be, hung out to dry. It's a big gamble to allow that to happen, or, I don't know about allow, but I mean, if that were to happen, that would be a fairly big gamble. I think that Donald Trump gets elected no matter what. And I think that him becoming president solves a lot of these issues. Because I think that when he comes back, it's just a completely different flavor to the administration. It's going to be a much more direct, much more deliberate. I think that you're going to see a lot of changes, and you're certainly going to see a fairly large amount of turnover that will also help with all of that obstruction that we were getting in his first term in office.
Yeah, I think so too. Let's take a second here and take care of a couple of our sponsors here today. And I want to get into Super Tuesday and talk about the historic night on Tuesday. Massive victories across the country for Donald J. Trump. But our first sponsor today is Love Litters. Afternoon, all you Badlanders with purring pals and feathered friends, say hello to Love Litters. 100% pure kiln-dried wood, free from chemicals, and oh so kind to Mother Earth. No dust, no mess, and no toxins, just a lightweight solution that's gentle on your wallet and even gentler in your home. Our biodegradable litter is crafted from wood destined for landfills, giving it a new purpose in your pet's life. Cats love it. Our astonishing formula works like magic to neutralize the notorious cat urine odor, keeping your home pine fresh and welcoming. For bird lovers, it zaps moisture from bird droppings, crumbling them away, all while being safe if pecked at or ingested. For reptiles and critters too, our mix is crafted to dilute the pine scent, ensuring those little lungs stay happy and healthy. Plus, every 30-pound bag of Love Litters will last you up to 6 months, saving you money. Transform your pet care routine today. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/litter. That's badlandsmedia.tv/litter, and breathe easy with a litter that loves you, or loves your pet as much as you do. The litter might love you too. I don't know. But anyway. And then we have our friends at MyPillow with a quick message. We'll be back in 60 seconds.
Over the last 20 years, with all your support, we've been able to not only launch the original MyPillow, but also the MyPillow mattress topper, Giza Dream bed sheets, My Slippers, and the MyPillow bath towels. But there's so much more. In fact, we have over 200 products. And I'm so confident that you'll love each and every one of them that when you go to MyPillow.com now, you'll immediately receive a free gift valued at $20 just for checking out the website. No purchase necessary. Get everything from MyPillow blankets, sleepwear, kitchen towels, mattresses, duvets, pet beds, body pillows, comforters, couch pillows, bathrobes, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And remember, just for checking out MyPillow.com, you'll immediately receive a free gift valued at $20. No purchase necessary. This is a limited time promotion, so go to MyPillow.com now.
All right. Thank you guys for taking care of our sponsors out there. Please continue to support the sponsors of this show and Badlands Media. Also, if you're watching on Rumble, be sure to hit that thumbs up button for us and share the link. Those of you guys on pill.net watching over on 412 Productions, please give us a red pill and repost the show. Share that link as well. We really appreciate it when you guys do those little things that help us continue to grow. So Super Tuesday, big night for Donald Trump, winning 14 of the 15 states, absolutely wiping the floor with Nikki Haley. Vermont was the lone state to go for Haley, and it looked like there might have been some shenanigans there. I haven't looked into it super closely, but nonetheless, it knocked her out of the race. What was your thoughts on Super Tuesday, Zach?
I wasn't surprised. The situation with Vermont was, another state where they had basically an open primary. Democrats could come in and vote as Republicans. Something like 92% of the people who voted for Haley had not voted for Trump before. So, if it was a closed primary, then she would have gotten trounced there as well. So not super surprised. Definitely it was a resounding victory. And Nikki Haley, I don't know what she's going to do now. She's probably going to get a gig at CNN or MSDNC or something like that. Or maybe she's going to open up a massage parlor.
Dude, some of the tweets that her team put out were so unfortunate. Like the first one about taking on 12 fellas and now she's down to one. Like, could you be like more like, oh my God. And then fighting for every inch, you're going to take every inch or something like that, or whatever she said. Like, God, like read it twice, 3 times before you send it out. Like, it wouldn't be so bad if she didn't have like the history of the back of the SUV in the Applebee's parking lot or whatever the hell it was, cheating on her husband. But the fact that she is, ugh, and then to put those out there like that, I mean, what the hell were they thinking?
So I have to think that the person she hired to do her social media might have been a secret plant from the Trump team. And they knew exactly what they were doing. Like, there's no way that I can see it, how they didn't see that there would be like double meanings to the stuff they did. Or like when she posted those fake messages from fake supporters, the handwritten note that was just typed out on a Microsoft notepad, or the fake email that hadn't even been sent yet. It was like what? So this guy like took a picture of his own computer screen and then sent it to you directly along with the email before he sent it? No, I don't think so.
What a joke. She refusing to endorse Donald Trump too up to this point, even though she took a pledge during the debate, to support the Republican nominee, not officially endorsing Donald Trump. I'm not surprised by that. I couldn't actually see her doing it anyway. And to me, it really exposes her true reason for running in the first place, doesn't it? What her real purpose was in all of this.
She's petulant. Yeah, she's a child, and if she was someone with character and honor, of course she would go ahead and throw her support behind Donald Trump. She would automatically give him those delegates, and it would be a non-starter. Nobody would have anything else to say about it. But no, I mean I think she's looking to remain on the radar in some form or another, and perhaps she's been hired to be the rhino opposition to Donald Trump in his new administration. Like, she'll be the one. That's why I say MSDNC or CNN. She'll be the because as she said, she's a Republican, And so she'll be that lone conservative voice that goes around trashing Donald Trump and saying that his policies suck. When it really doesn't have anything about that. I mean, it's a payday, and she's probably upset. I mean, I think that she was hoping that maybe she would be his vice presidential pick, and early on, it was clear that that was never going to happen. So somebody paid her. They propped up her campaign and they put her out there and they said, what's the worst that could happen? I mean, I don't think anybody was thinking she would become a national laughingstock, but her political career is done.
Yeah, her and Adam Kissinger can have their own show together on CNN. It would be quite the
There you go.
dynamic duo. All right, I wanna play a clip that aired on MSDNC on where do I have this? Here it is on the night of Super Tuesday. This is Joy Reid, and you've probably seen this. It was going around. It's one of the most disgusting clips I've ever seen. She's talking about Republican voters, and it starts off. It's cut off a little bit at the beginning, but it starts off with her saying that Republican voters aren't voting based on the economy or anything financial or anything like that, and she gets into her normal race baiting stuff here. Take a listen to this exchange. This is ridiculous. Even for them, I feel like this is obscene.
They're voting on race. They're voting on this idea of an invasion of brown people over the border. The idea that they can't get whatever job they want. A black person got it, therefore drive all the blacks out of the colleges, get rid of DEI. That is what they're voting on. They're just voting specifically on racial animus. At this stage, it isn't about economics.
No, which is why Trump killed the immigration bill.
Correct.
That's why. And because otherwise, he can't run against the other and brown people and people who don't look like him, like his supporters, his base of supporters, coming across the border and scaring people and killing people or whatever he's threatening out there. I mean, if you look at some of these exit polls, I mean, I live in Virginia. Immigration was the number one issue. I mean, again, these could change in Virginia.
Well, Virginia does have a border with West Virginia. Very, very contested area.
Build a wall. Like, what? I mean, when I was in New Hampshire.
All right, I'll cut that off there. So they say all Republicans are voting on is to keep brown people south of the border. And then they go as far as to mock the fact that people in Virginia are concerned about the border and then, act like West Virginia, the conservatives in West Virginia are the real threat to the Virginians. I mean, these people are completely obscene, Zach. I don't even know what else to say.
Yeah, it goes to show just how disconnected they are from the realities of everyday life for real people. They're not going to be touched by and large by the crisis that's been created by Joe Biden and his regime. And they're making fun of us because they don't even know how bad it is. I mean, they don't have any friends that are out there getting murdered. They don't have anybody who ordered a DoorDash and then the guy came in and raped their daughter or something like that. They don't have to worry about that stuff. I mean, they're firmly ensconced in their own little worlds there. They're fiefdoms at MSDNC or at CNN or any of these multimedia outlets. And they think that we're crazy. I mean, and it's not just Republicans. This is not a political issue. This is an issue that matters to Americans. Now, what's interesting is that, this is touching the lives of people all around the country. It's not about keeping brown people out. It's about keeping illegal people out. And, I would imagine if those wenches were to go to New York City or Chicago and ask a couple of brown people how they feel about the illegals that are pouring into their cities, they would get the same answer that they're getting from people voting in Virginia. Now, among like hardcore Democrats, like the ultra left wing, like those four right there, the number one issue is abortion. And they're not even fully aligned on that. Like 25% of Democrats believe that abortion is the number one issue. Okay, they want to fight for the right to kill each other and to kill their babies. The rest of those issues are all spread out. It shows you that they're really disconnected as a group. and they don't have the same sort of cohesive unity that they've had in the past. You look at the left and then, you look at the right, and then the people from the left who have joined the right, and we're organized, okay? We're all looking at the southern border. And, I've said this a couple of times recently. It's horrific what Joe Biden has done. The damage that has been sown all across America is incalculable. We have no idea how many people are here. The drain on everybody's wallets and the systems that we have in place that are supposed to be there to help Americans, they have been tapped out. These people, they believe that they have the right to come here and live illegally. I heard that in New York City, they were moving these families. So they've got like a 60-day window for families in these emergency shelters, which the families get to live in what were formerly swanky New York City hotels. Nobody's going to New York now. So the city is paying these hotels to put up these families. At the end of the 60 days, they have to rotate them out, let a new family in, and they're taking them to a tent city, basically, that's like out on a tarmac someplace. I guess that the bus with all those families was taken to the tents, and those families basically just said, F you, we're not going to stay here. They turned around, they got back on the bus, and they demanded to be taken back to the hotel. Well, joke's on you, buddy. Somebody else already has your room. I don't know what you expect, but you walked across the border without any papers. You've got no legal right to be here. And the only reason they get to stay in New York is because it got that sanctuary city status. They have to give a bed to somebody. The funny thing is that they're being told that it's actually illegal to house them in these tent cities. They have to give them a bed in a bedroom, in a domicile, in a place to live. There is simply no room left. Okay, I don't know that they have any hotels they can take over. People are not going to let them into their homes, at least not, other than the ultra brain dead and brainwashed, super ultra left-wing liberals. Those are the only people. I'm sure you saw those reports a couple of weeks ago in Boston. The state of Massachusetts is placing people inside the homes of these idiots. And I don't know how long it's going to take for that to go extremely bad, but I think at a certain point it will, because they will then have squatters' rights. Why would they ever leave if you've allowed them to move into your home and take over half of it? So, we are united that the southern border has destroyed America because Joe Biden allowed it to. That has become a galvanizing force among the American people and pushed them to recognize that Donald Trump and his policies were actually good for America. So we have the people who already knew that. That's us. And then you have the new America Firsters who are now joining up because they say, hey, I don't want to destroy my country. Of course, compassion is one thing, but law and order, that's another. And if we don't have law and order, then we don't have a country for these people to come to. And, what good is it then? My life means something. These other people's lives might mean something, but why don't you let them mean something in their own country, or make them go through the legal process to become citizens? The final point. All of those black and brown people who emigrated here legally got a work visa, got their permanent residency, then got citizenship. Those people busted their asses. All right. Mm-hmm. That right there is truly the foundation of America. All of us legal Americans, we all emigrated here to this country at one time in the past because of a tyrannical government who didn't give a shit about us, and who basically saw us as fodder for the grist mill, okay? A place to get money, people to use, and people to abuse, all right? It's no different than what we have in America right now. And it's unsustainable. We can't stay here. So those people that came here to escape something terrible now recognize that America has become just as terrible as where they came from. And their sacrifice now means absolutely nothing. It is worth $0, even though they paid for it, sometimes with everything they had.
It's so true. I mean, the process for coming here legally and doing it the right way, what's happening on the southern border is such a slap in the face to everyone who has gone through that process and who has, done this legally. My dad's an immigrant from Palestine. He came over here. He did it the right way. He did it legally. I don't know if he would have been able to do it in today's day and age, with how overrun we are at the southern border. And there's so many others like him that probably can't get into this country that want to actually contribute and be a net positive to our society, because we're putting all of our resources into housing and allowing this invasion at our southern border. It's completely disgusting. And just anecdotally, you can see it right here in my hometown, Pittsburgh, PA. Whenever I drive into the city, there are 10 cities now popping up all over downtown Pittsburgh where there was never anything like it before. I mean, we've always had, some homeless people, the occasional person shaking a cup here and there as you walk down the streets, like any big city. But these sprawling areas of tents and just massive amounts of homeless, displaced people, I've never seen anything like this in my city before. It's a whole different vibe, a whole different experience. It makes me not want to go downtown. It makes me feel like a lot of areas that I used to enjoy when I was younger, going out, having a good time, are no longer safe. They're no longer a place that you could walk down the street and feel like you're not in danger. It's gotten to a really, really ugly place, and it's not getting any better. Every week when I drive through, there's just more of them, more and more of these tents, more and more homeless, and all I can think is got to be a direct relation to what's happening on the southern border, because that's the only thing that's changed is this complete opening and incentivization to allow people to come here and get bussed and taken wherever they want on the taxpayers' dime. So yeah, it's a major issue, and for MSNBC, kind of circling back to the video, to be making light of it and acting surprised that Virginia is worried about immigration and making jokes about the border they share with West Virginia, and West Virginians is just so out of touch, so completely out of touch. I couldn't get over it. I must have watched that clip like 5 or 6 times. I couldn't believe how just cavalier they are in their comments. Like, they just have no respect for the actual people in this country.
Have you ever seen the Hunger Games?
Yes.
They remind me of the people of the Capitol.
Such a good analogy to that.
Yeah. Because they're living the high life. They can do whatever they want. They have no needs. Everything that they ever needed is provided for them. They're treated like royalty, like celebrities, and and they just sit in their ivory towers and watch as the plebs tear themselves apart because they're fighting for scraps. That's happened in history in real life before. And Marie Antoinette can tell you all about it. So, I don't know how many Frenchmen are in the audience, but do with that what you will.
Yeah, that didn't end well in France. For the aristocrats over there.
That joke? The
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
So Jen Psaki, a priest and a Jew, walk into a bar.
I love how you started with Jen Psaki. Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny. All right. Another takeaway that I thought was really positive from Super Tuesday was what we saw in Texas. Ken Paxton endorsed 4 justices for I believe it was their Supreme Court, over 4 Bushies, basically, and it was a clean sweep. The Ken Paxton judges won out, most of them by double-digit points. I think the closest race was 8 points. So you saw that Dade Phelan, I believe the Speaker's House, he's being forced to a runoff with his primary opponent. So there's an opportunity to oust him. You're seeing, and we've seen it. We've sacked McCarthy, and a slight upgrade in Mike Johnson. We could talk about that in a bit with this new funding CR or whatever they're doing. But you got rid of McCarthy. McConnell stepping down. McDaniel has resigned. Then you see this in Texas. I mean, just every day, Zach, it feels like America First, the MAGA movement, is chipping away at this neocon establishment infiltration of the conservative base in this country. And it feels like at some point there will be a full tipping point where this exponentially speeds up. These people that represent the old guard are going to realize that they're really no longer welcome. Their views, their ideas, their way of going about business is no longer appreciated. And I feel like many more of them are going to be leaving the scene over the next handful of years and election cycles here. Have you noticed anything else, like as far as that goes, or any thoughts on that?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, it's true. The reason a lot of people voted for Donald Trump the first time around is because he wasn't a politician, and because business as usual in Washington D.C. had led us to the hellscape that we currently live in. And as soon as you had a return to business as usual in Washington D.C., it was immediately accelerated. And people look across the country, and they've gradually gotten more politically active. They've really tried to work at pushing out those people that are pushing that old sort of good old boys DC smoke-filled rooms atmosphere. And we do need to get rid of those people. And I mean, it's a lot more than just the presidency. I mean, we're talking across all levels. It's extremely corrupt. And these people have been in power for a really, really long time. I mean, it's just been gradual. This country is so corrupt at all levels, and it's so obvious. I mean, if anything that you see happening right now was happening in any other nation, the United States, would be all over it. We'd have, election monitors, and the State Department would be there making sure that people weren't being politically persecuted. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. And so it has to happen. There's just no other way to do it. We have to replace these people, and we have to do it as quickly as possible. But it is a big job, and it's going to take years. I'm anxious to see what happens in November, how things change then. But there's a lot more elections that will be coming up, and we just got to keep pushing.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Let's turn to the general election for a second. There was a poll that they covered on MSNBC that I thought was really interesting. You might have seen this, Zach, but I'm curious to see your thoughts on this, because this seems like a really, really big signal as to where we're headed in November.
So the numbers he's posting in general election polling against Biden right now are absolutely consistent with what he's got among Republicans in past elections. So again, if you're looking at the primaries and saying, boy, there's all evidence here of Republicans turning on Trump, unwilling to vote for Trump in the fall, you're not seeing it in the general election polling in these Trump numbers. And then you take a look at one final thing here. This is from the New York Times Siena poll. They looked at it this way. They asked respondents in their poll, who did you vote for in 2020, and are you still with that candidate now? 97% of folks who said they voted for Trump in 2020 say in this poll they're still with Trump, but only 85% of Joe Biden's 2020 voters say they're with him. So again, I think if you're the Trump campaign, you look at a finding like this and say, maybe there's some slack on the Republican side, they're probably thinking, but not a ton. And meanwhile, it's Biden who has the slack. And the reason Trump is leading in these polls right now over Biden, and they're polls, they can change and they can be wrong, and all of the disclaimers we can put on it. But I think the Trump campaign would look at this and say they're picking off Biden voters right now more than Biden is picking off Trump voters.
That's huge right there. You're talking a 12-point difference. If you believe that Joe Biden got 81 million votes, which I don't, but let's just live in that fantasy world for a second. 15% of those will not be voting for him, and you have to imagine at least some percentage of those people will actually make a 2-vote swing and flip to Donald Trump. I mean, that's massive if that's an accurate poll right there, Zach. That's huge. That's stunning.
I mean, I'd say that's, pretty consistent with reality. And, again, there's, quite a bit of time between now and November. And I don't see anything in this country getting any better. Nothing will be improving. It will only worsen between now and then. And so that means that even more people are going to be leaving Joe Biden. Now the thing that I think is really going to clinch it is, how many of those voters, like you said, are going to result in that 2-point swing, leave Joe Biden to go to Donald Trump. And will the people who are controlling the elections have the power to inject enough votes to make it a Biden win. And if they do, are people going to just say, well, I guess, the conspiracy theorists are probably going to pipe up again about election fraud, but, we know that doesn't exist. I don't think so. This is the idea of election fraud being, a looming threat again this November. I think that it clearly exists still, but they have a plausibility argument now that was different than it was in 2020. I think, we were all very clear, Joe Biden did not get 81 million votes. Like, there's absolutely no way. People were watching that election like a hawk, and we caught all sorts of examples of votes being flipped and votes being rigged. We don't have a plandemic this time around. And if laws are not followed, are we going to have people who are in positions of power that say, you know what, we can't allow this to stand? I mean, otherwise it looks like exactly what we say it is. So, I think that's where the real rub is going to lie when we get to November. I know that people are not going to support Joe Biden. And I'm hoping that they will flip to Donald Trump. But, you've also got this whole element of uncommitted voters. I mean, I can't think of a time in history when so many people have said, there's no way I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden in these primaries. Joe Biden lost a primary in American Samoa. I mean, it's not that big of a deal but I mean, it's a humiliation. And from what I understand, those people, a good portion of those people who didn't vote for Joe Biden and instead voted uncommitted, they're pledging to vote for Donald Trump because, what do they want? They want a ceasefire. They want an end to bloodshed between, the Palestinians and the Jews. Donald Trump already brought peace to the Middle East. If you're a one-issue voter and that's the only thing you care about, hey, guys, make America great again. You might as well be there with us.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, too, because you had, like, Donald Trump is very pro-Israel. He's never made any bones about that. At least publicly, his stance has always been very pro-Israel. But he was, for the most part, pro-Israel in a way that was, like you said, peaceful. They tried to come up with at least some kind of amicable two-state solution or a way to allow both sides to coexist. But you had a lot of, like, the Ilhan Omars and Rashida Tlaibs and those guys, hating on Donald Trump and going after him for his pro-Israel stance. Well, now you have Joe Biden in there, and how's that working out for you? Because that's a whole different level of fucked up what's happening to Palestine right now under his watch, right? So the irony there is, I don't think, lost on many people. And I think that's one thing that's going to really hurt him in states like Michigan and Minnesota, where they have huge Muslim populations. Those people are not going to turn up and vote for Joe Biden. And that could easily be enough to swing a state like Michigan heavily in the favor of the Republicans.
I mean, Michigan and Minnesota, those are like the two heaviest concentrations of the uncommitted voters. That's Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, And so, yes, they're not going to be supporting Joe Biden this time around. And I think that is a significant enough population that it can make the difference. That area of Michigan is where they had, like, the greatest concentration of cheating last time. So, I don't think there's any shutting anybody out of the count rooms. I don't think that we're going to have any election minders being forced to stand 6 feet away. Nobody is going to tolerate being called a racist this time. It's a very, very different scenario. And I can only hope that the RNC is going to have people on hand that are going to be willing to challenge in the same way that the Democrats do.
Well, hopefully the new RNC leadership, they'll be prepared and ready to roll come election day. Did you see Merrick Garland? You talked about, they're going to attempt to cheat and whatnot. Did you see Merrick Garland's speech about the voting laws that he gave recently? Did you see that clip by any chance?
He said that he was going to fight to fight against voter ID, and he was speaking in a black church, and he said that it's racist to ask people to show their ID to vote, which I don't know how well that went off with the population in the church, because any black people I've ever spoken to, said that they thought it was racist, that there was an insinuation that they couldn't figure out where the fucking DMV, they couldn't figure out where the DMV was. and the part that just slipped out. But they, yeah, I mean, it's racist to say that black people don't know how to get IDs. I mean, everybody's got a freaking ID. You know, you got to have an ID to buy cigarettes. You got to have an ID, you know, to get a bottle of booze or, you know, pack of beer or something like that. I mean, you got to have an ID essentially to go anywhere of consequence. So, you know, I mean, like that population in America is not like disenfranchised from all of those things by being asked for IDs. So, yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just so belittling to that population, and it's just making them. I think Steve Bannon put it best when he says they're tired of being the face of the Democrat scam, the black community, and I think more and more black people are really waking up to how they're being used and abused on behalf of essentially a bunch of crusty old white liberals. It's pretty not hysterical. It's pretty sad. But to see them waking up and realizing it and walking off that plantation is extremely encouraging. All right, we've got 2 more sponsors. We'll come back. Let Zach get out of here for his 5 o'clock broadcast. Actually, Zach, you know what? There's no point to hold you up. Do you want to go ahead and plug your show and take a few extra minutes, and then I'll take care of the sponsors and do our sign off.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you, as always, for having me, Adel. You guys may or may not know, I'll be live at 5 p.m. on my own channel, rumble.com/redpill78, at redpill78 on pilled.net. You can also find me on X and Getter, Gab, Truth Social, of course. I've got a Telegram, official Red Pill 78 channel. That channel will never send you an email asking if you are familiar with the quantum holographic financial system that's coming. That's not me. But yes, I am live Monday through Thursday at 5 p.m. on my own channel, and Fridays and Saturdays at 9 p.m. as well. And of course, I'm here every Thursday. Mondays at 10:30, I have a show with John called Baseless Conspiracies. And then Wednesdays at 9, I have another show called Altered State with my good friend Brad Getz. So it was a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. And everyone have a lovely day.
Thanks, Zach. We'll catch you next week.
Peace.
All right, there he goes. Zach Payne, redpill78news.com. He's going live in 5 minutes over on redpill78. So make sure you guys go and check that out. And then also another shout out to our brother Frankie Val of the Quite Frankly Show. He is dealing with a pretty nasty cold right now. So all of you prayer warriors out there, please, put a little prayer out there for Frank and a quick recovery. Hopefully he gets back on his feet and can join us for next week's show. Just get back to normal. Like I said, I heard from him today. He did not sound very good. So all your prayers and well wishes, I'm sure, will be greatly received and appreciated by our brother Frankie Val. Like I said, we do have 2 more quick sponsors. We'll take care of those, and then I'll come back on the other side. We'll read your gold pill chats and wrap up today's installment of Deplorable Discussions. We got Rivers B2C. In today's fast-paced world, peace of mind is priceless. That's where Badlands Media steps in. Preparing for life's uncertainties is about being ready for anything right where you are. Welcome to the Badlands Media Shop. We partner with Patriot companies. Oh, shoot, I'm reading the wrong. I messed up so bad. I'm so sorry. Let's try that again. Rivers B2C. Here we go. Are you ready to diversify your assets with Bitcoin? Introducing River, the official Bitcoin partner of Badlands Media, where you can navigate the world of Bitcoin with confidence. With River, you can buy Bitcoin like a pro. With the assurance of being licensed and regulated right here in the United States, River ensures your Bitcoin journey is smooth and secure with on-demand live support at your fingertips. River empowers you to grow your portfolio without any unwanted surprises and eliminates third-party custodians, putting you in control of your assets. Open an account with no minimum purchase requirement. You can get your Bitcoin journey started with just $1. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/river to create your River account today. That's badlandsmedia.tv/river. River, shaping the future of finance, one Bitcoin at a time. Whew. All right. So I already kind of read the first part of this next one, but we got Badlands the Badlands shop. So let's jump over and do that. In today's fast-paced world, peace of mind is priceless. That's where Badlands Media steps in. Preparing for life's uncertainty is about being ready for anything right where you are. Welcome to the Badlands Media shop. We partner with Patriot companies offering products to empower you to prepare for any eventuality comfortably from your home. The Badlands shop has everything you need to secure your peace of mind. Browse the virtual aisles, prepare your family for the year ahead with products you can trust from companies that share your values, whether it's growing your own food or prepping long-term storage, protecting your family, or stocking up on emergency supplies. We've got you covered. Get prepared. Visit Badlands Media shop at badlandsmedia.tv/shop today. Every purchase supports a freedom-loving business as well as Badlands Media. That's badlandsmedia.tv/shop. Thank you for your continued support. So we got it figured out. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I really appreciate it. You, if you guys don't mind, hit that thumbs up button on Rumble. If you haven't done that already on your way out, share the links. Those of my friends over on pill.net. If you haven't given us a red pill yet or reposted the show, I appreciate if you guys can do that for me. Otherwise, that's gonna pretty much do it for today. I just gotta get and do the gold pills, and then we'll get up out of here. Floyd with a tucking it back cookie. Thank you, Floyd. Appreciate you, man. Boys Blanc with a couple cookies says, so are you telling us that Zach is not wearing pants? So I guess you'll never know. Richard Lyles, thank you for the cookie. Filter Dog 1 hooking us up with some shades. Thank you so much. Delia says immunity is required or they will be extorted by post office holding prosecution. It would neuter all POTUS. Unless they just every president on their way out the door just gave themselves a full pardon. I don't know how all that works, but yeah, I agree, Delia. I think immunity needs to be awarded in this case. We'll see what the Supreme Court does. P-Quest dropping a couple cookies. Trump red pill with a cookie says, yeah, Zach. Right on, Trump red pill 1. We got due diligence. Thank you for the cookie. Tomcat 01 New Jersey says, awesome show. Thank you, Zach. And 412. You're very welcome. Thank you for the cookie. Boys Blancs is my father's side. We're French aristocracy, flees province for Quebec. Interesting, Boys Blanc. Thank you for the cookie. Trick Pony says, God bless America, land of the free. Yes, Trick Pony, thank you for the cookie. God bless America, indeed. Floyd says, cheers to another great show and went way too fast today. Yes, Thursdays are maybe the fastest hour ever. Remember we used to call the Patriot Power Hour the fastest hour on the internet? I think that taking it back might have that new behold that new mantle now. And then Filter Dog 1 says, thank you. Show always flies past. Yeah, it is a fast hour on Thursdays for sure. But the 1 hour format allows me to get over to my brother's house to spend time with my little nieces before their bedtime. So I kind of appreciate having that extra hour back on Thursdays for a little bit of family time. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for today. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Red pill, repost, thumbs up, share the link. And tomorrow, I'm going to try to get Ben and Tina Garrison to join us for the second half of tomorrow's show. So we'll see if we can get that arranged. And then Saturday morning, I have every intention of doing a Saturday morning chat, barring some kind of nonsense in my life to prevent it. That's 100% the plan. So should be a fun rest of the week and start to the weekend. Monday next week, I've got Scott DeGroat of Woke Society joining our panel. He should be on for the full 2-hour installment of Deplorable Discussions. So the next 3 broadcasts should be absolute fire here on 412 Productions. Again, big thank you to Badlands Media for syndicating us today. You guys are amazing over there. And if you want to follow my normal stuff, my name's Adel Nero. My channel is 412 Productions. If you're Rumblers, you can just find it on Rumble. But I highly recommend you find us on pill.net as well, because we do our second hour exclusively over there on pill.net. And it's looking great. We have a whole new user interface. It's really awesome. So if you haven't checked it out or you haven't been over there in a while, now is a great time to get reacquainted with the platform. But that's it. That's going to do it. Thank you guys all so much. For Zach Payne of Red Pill 78 News. Shout out to our brother Frankie Val of quitefrankly.tv. My name is Adel Nero, and this has been Taking It Back, a 412 production syndicated by our good friends on Badlands Media. You guys have a great rest of your Thursday, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow for Deplorable Discussions at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye, everybody.